Hi there, I'm Kimberly. Joy. I've said before, Joy's my middle name, but also a play on words. Today I'm going to talk about how you need to, or how you can, let's say, how you can stay active and be joyful after 50. Stay with me. So my father passed away at 50 unexpectedly. He wasn't incredibly unhealthy or overweight or anything. He just had a heart attack and dropped dead at 50. And I was 21, 22 at the time. And I thought, oh God, 50 is old. You know, people die when they're 50. I was just starting to have kids, just kind of getting my life on track. And here he was gone. And then when I started getting in my 40s, I was like, oh God, 50 is not that old. And then when I hit 50, I was like, 50 ain't old at all. And now I'm 57 and I'm like, I don't feel any different here than I did when I was 25. I still feel like that same person. I'm just trapped in kind of a body that hurts now when I get out of that. So I'm sure you can relate. But something that I'm guilty of, and I know a lot of us are, is flopping in the recliner after work, turning on the TV, and getting less and less and less active. And there's something I'm going to get really down and dirty about right now. So what I found, and it took me a while to figure this out. It took me a while. What I found was the more I sat, the more I sat. And the more I sat, the sadder I got. And the sadder I got, the more I sat. And it was a vicious cycle. I started getting depressed. I started getting, dare say, suicidal. And just woe is me, and I have no life, I have no friends, I have no, and just sitting and doom scrolling or watching YouTube. Oh, you can watch this one, this one's okay. Or, just binge watching, different series or even just reading, but just sitting and just isolating and doing all the things. And I lost my joy. And I had always been such a happy person, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I mean, yeah, I had gone through some pretty rough life changes, but that wasn't what was causing this darkness in my life. It was the inactivity. It was the sitting. It was the getting in my head too much. And so I'm here today to tell you that you need to stay active and you need to find your joy every day. And I'm going to give you a few little ideas on how to do that. So the first thing is going for a daily walk or 2 or 3. Okay. So when I was going through all this, I had 3 dogs, but I wasn't even walking them. I just send them outside and then bring them back in and, that kind of thing. And I was like, I have the perfect excuse. I have dogs, they need to go for walks. And I noticed, and it is not easy to walk always where I'm at. Because, I'm near a road and it's dangerous or whatever. If I have trails nearby, my life is so good because I can walk in trails all day long. But if I'm on a busy road or something, it's hard for me to do that. So a lot of times I have to put the dog in the car and then go find a place that's safe to walk with a sidewalk or, whatever. And so that tends to be a little bit more of a challenge. I try to challenge myself to do that more often than not because it doesn't take long for me to get back in this sitting cycle again. But I can honestly tell you that once I started walking, even just 20 minutes a day, and I try to do more now, but when I first started that walking 20 minutes a day, just not even a power walk, just walking my dog, I immediately mentally started to feel better because I would get out and I would think good things and I'd be happy and I'd be walking and I'd notice the birds and whatever, and just get out of my head a little bit. And the more I walked, the better I felt, the more I wanted to walk. So it was kind of like the reverse of the more you sit, the sadder you get, the more you sit. Well, the more you walk, the more you want to walk, the happier you get and you walk more. So not only was it good mentally, it also was better physically. I started feeling better. I wasn't as sore. Now the first couple of days I was sore, I'm not going to lie. But after I started doing it more, I started to feel better. I started to sleep better. I started to lose a little weight. Not a ton. I got a lot to go, but a little bit of weight. So just walking should be the first thing on your agenda. If nothing else fits into your life, try to walk. And it can even start with, you drive to the store, don't park close. Park as far out in the parking lot as you can. You go to the doctor's office and you're on the 3rd floor, don't get in the elevator. Take the stairs. That one blew me away. My doctor is on the 2nd floor. And so it's 2 short flights to get up to the 2nd floor. And I barely made it up the 2 flights. I was just about wheezing when I got to the top. And we're talking, this was 6 months ago. And that's when it really hit me that, wow, I should not, because I have friends that are my age that are running circles around me and they're happy and they're joyful. And it's like, okay, why am I not that person anymore? Well, it's because I became so sedentary that my brain and everything just shut down. So get out and walk. Okay, so the second thing is dance. I used to love to go dancing. Oh my God, before the pandemic, granted, that was a few pounds ago and some health crises ago, but before the pandemic, my girlfriend and I used to go to the casino and go dancing 2 or 3 times a month. It was so much fun. There was live bands and all the things, and all that's gone now, but it was fun. And I ached for that. I missed that. I missed the dancing. And so you know what I do now? I turn on my Bon Jovi or my Def Leppard, all you Gen Xers out there, my hairband music, and I crank it up when I'm cleaning house or doing the dishes or just dinking around, and I dance while I'm doing it. And I'm singing karaoke to myself, and I'm having a good time. And that brings me such joy. I find myself laughing, and there ain't nobody here to see it but me. But that movement and that dancing and the music and the joy just turns my whole day around. So even if you're feeling a little grouchy, which we all get there, I get it, shut off the TV, get out of the chair, crank up the tunes, close the blinds if you have to. I don't, because I'm a little bit of an exhibitionist when it comes to my dance moves. And just boogie in the kitchen by your own self if you have to. Or maybe start making videos of yourself dancing. I've seen a lot of people our age get on and there's like a shuffle or something they're learning, and they get better and better and better, and each video gets a little better, and you're kind of cheering them on a little bit. So don't be afraid to dance like nobody's watching. The other thing is, don't forget to play. If you have grandchildren, get on the floor and play with them. Get on your hands and knees, crawl around, give them horsey back rides, wrestle with them. Or if you don't have grandkids, do it with your dog. If you don't have a dog, then, I don't know, roll around on the floor by yourself. I don't know. But be playful. Be playful with children, with other people. Have a sense of humor. That's going to bring you joy. If you look for joy, you'll find joy. Look for the funny in things. Watch stand-up. Sometimes, okay, wait a minute. We're getting away from the TV. So download stand-up on your phone and listen to it while you walk. That way, when you're walking down the street and you're laughing hysterically to yourself, people will think you're crazy and give you fun looks, and that's going to make you laugh. But don't forget to be playful and find joy in every little thing that you possibly can. Make up songs, make up poems. I keep going back to children because I have 5 grandkids, and they are the light of my life, and they make me laugh, and their ages at this point, 8 to 13, and they all have completely different personalities and completely different, outlooks on life, and it is so much fun to be with them. So, I when I was going through my sit and sad, I wasn't even spending time with them. And then this last summer, I decided that one day a week, every week this summer, I was going to take the grandkids to do something fun, whether it go camping or take them to the theme park or go on a picnic or the zoo or whatever. I just wanted to spend time with them because they bring the life back in me. So maybe you don't have grandkids, but maybe you have someone, some nieces or nephews or somebody with children that you can hang out with or borrow their kids. Or maybe go volunteer at a daycare center, or if you're at church, maybe you can volunteer in the nursery with the toddlers or something. They'll bring you such joy, honestly. They're just, they're the best. After 50, being active and exercise isn't so much about burning calories as it is doing it to enjoy living life the way you want to live it. Because as we become more sedentary, we become more sedentary, if that makes sense. And you'll become old before you should, because your body will just start quitting on you. It'll start getting stiffer and sore and, less agile and heavier and all the things because it's not being used properly. It's like, my dad was a mechanic and I grew up on boats and RVs and all the thing. And he would always say, well, if it's not used, it's going to go. That's when things break. That's when things don't work right, which is when they're not used. Well, it also goes the same for your body. So you want to stay active. You want to stay moving so that you can live a longer life doing the things you want to do longer. We don't want to spend the last 20 years in a rocking chair, right? So keep active, keep out there, keep busy. It's not about burning the calories. It's about just moving. That's why just walking is plenty. If that's all you can do right now, start with that. Walk to the mailbox. Instead of just walking once, maybe walk to the mailbox, back to the house, walk to the mailbox, back to the house. And then the next day, 3 times. Next time, 4 times. Pretty soon you're up to a 20-minute walk. It's a boring walk, but it's a walk. Now, I've mentioned before, find your joy. But the truth of the matter is, folks, that you never find your joy. You create it. Each day, joyfulness is a choice. When you wake up in the morning and your eyeballs first open, you make that decision right then. Now, I am very guilty of waking up in a bad mood every day. In fact, it's a joke in my family that no one talks to me the first hour until I got my coffee. But I know that if I open my blind, because I have blackout blinds in my bedroom and one of them I can reach from my bed. And if I open that and the sun's out, I'm instantly in a better mood. But if I open that and it's cloudy, I'm instantly in a bad mood. And I live in Washington State, so there's a lot of bad moods, especially 6 months out of the year. And so I have to make that choice. No, I'm not going to let this get me down today. And so there's lots of things that can kind of get you moving in the morning. For me, I have my dog and I give her some lovin's in the morning and she just loves me unconditionally. And so that helps get the happy going. I still do like my hour of peace and quiet in the morning, but I try to, lean into the joy as much as I can because I'm not a morning person. I am grouchy in the morning. So it is a struggle for me. And if it's a struggle for me, it's probably a struggle for some of you. So just make the choice. And if you get up and you are grouchy, sit in that for a minute and then make the choice. The other thing you can do, and I know this sounds really ridiculous, but it works. Let's say you wake up to an alarm. I hate waking up to an alarm. If I have to wake up to an alarm, my whole day's ruined, right? But let's say you wake up. Set an alarm for that is usually at least 30 minutes after the time you normally get up. So that you're going to be awake and, kind of moving by the time this alarm goes off. And label the alarm, create your joy. So that you'll forget it's set. You're getting up, you're getting your coffee, you're going potty, you're brushing your teeth, whatever you got to do. And then all of a sudden, if you're not already in a joyful mood, that's going to go off and it's going to remind you. Snap out of your freaking funk and create some joy and figure out what that joy is going to be that day. I don't care if it's going for a walk. I don't care if it's downloading some happy music and dancing. You're going to figure out a way to turn that day around. Now, if you're already joyful, then it's just like, already did it, and you can set the alarm for the next day. But just kind of remind yourself to look for that joy, because I go to bed every night, and some of you may be this way. I go to bed every night thinking, oh, tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then I go to sleep, and then I wake up, or I wake up 20 times during the night, which puts me in a bad mood. But anyway, I don't sleep well, whatever. I open the blind. It's cloudy. Bad mood. But then an alarm goes off a half hour later and says, get out of your freaking funk and find your joy. And then I remind myself, you idiot, don't waste a day being grouchy. Make it a happy one. Till next time.